The grid is shattered? Now that's an understatement. Hello everyone, it's Thomas Jujube, and welcome to the Talking Jujube podcast, where I talk gibberish, or in this case, Jujube, about the latest episodes and news in this series. Today, we don't really have that much news. We have one small thing for Kamen Rider, which is kind of fake. We have something quick for Transformers, and of course, I'm here to talk about the first issue of Shattered Grid for Power Rangers. So, let's get into it. So, let's start with Shattered Grid. So, first of all, I just want to preface this. I actually started reading Go-Go Power Rangers. I binged through the whole series, and I have to say, I love that series. It's a perfect balance between Rangers and civilians. It's great. It has great stories. I love the art. It's just so well done. And they're technically not in the Shattered Grid yet. The last issue was the prelude, and we see the Ranger Slayer, which I'm very excited for, considering what they were doing in that story. So I'm excited to see how the Ranger Slayer will affect everyone. But I'm here just to talk about Shattered Grid. Those are my quick thoughts on Go-Go. So Shattered Grid was awesome. I love that we start with Time Force. It was an awesome idea because they kind of seem like they're the most experienced team, if you know what I mean. I mean, that's probably arguably the best season besides RPM, I guess. Arguably one of the best seasons. So anyway, I love that they look at the pad and they push a button and we see the other dimension. So we see the MMPR dimension, whatever that dimension is, I don't really know. We see Dino Charge and we see RPM. So that was really cool because we know those are the only two like confirmed other dimensions. Yes, Dino Charge was confirmed. I was a little confused, like West Time Force Red. They say West. So West was Time Force Red in this instance, but then he's saying to pass, the other Time Force Rangers went to their time. I don't know. I don't really care. This was really cool. And then we see basically the shattered time, the shattered grid in space. They go towards it in the Time Force Megazord, and it knocks the Time Force Megazord and launches pretty much everyone except West and Jen, Time Force Pink and Red. It launches them out, and I mean, like, people are assuming they're dead, but this is like a rift in space and time, so I don't think they're dead. I think they were sent to like other dimensions. Like if you've seen Thor Ragnarok, and you know when Loki was pushed out of the Bifrost and he was sent to Sakaar, and Thor was pushed out of the Bifrost like 2 seconds later, but Loki landed weeks before Thor. So I think it's something like that. Like maybe Time Force Yellow was sent to the Dino Charge dimension, Green was sent to MMPR. No, he wasn't sent to MMPR, but maybe he was sent to RPM. Maybe Yellow was sent to Dino Charge. Oh, I already said Dino Charge. You know what I mean. Basically, I don't think they're dead. I think they were sent to other dimensions. Because then we see Jen. West basically tells Jen to leave and go see what's happening because they know it's a fixed point in time. So Jen gets in a jetpack. She boosts out. And West in the Time Force Megazord goes to the rift to like hold it off, and it explodes, and we see a big hand kind of reach out. It's obviously Drakkon's hand, like some kind of hand of his. He reaches out and grabs Jen, but she goes back to the past already. And just the reason I think that West time traveled is because when when Jen leaves in the jetpack, it says like Chrono Rift or something activate. And it said the same thing when Wes's Megazord was destroyed. Or it could just be, again, he went through a time rift. So he probably was sent to, I don't know, Jungle Fury. Like, you know, he's probably not dead. All the Time Force Rangers, I don't believe they're dead. I believe they're sent to other times and dimensions. So anyway, that's all just, like, the first couple pages. So that was really cool. And then I just want to talk about the art cell. Because then we see basically kind of like a reimagining of what happened in the last issue, 24, where Drakkon takes Saban, he creates the portal, and he goes through it. Basically, this art style is really weird. I'm very mixed about this art style. I really love the Rangers in this art style because they look really like simplistic, but like they stand out, which is something that I think is really cool. I like stuff like that. The environments, they look really nice. But the humans, they look so strange. Like, they don't look right at all, and they look kind of cartoony. So I'm just kind of mixed on this art style. I kind of hate it, but I kind of like it. They should have just used Go-Go's art style, because it was a great mix between like cartoony and like gritty. It was, again, a great mix. The humans didn't look weird at all, but the ranger suits looked really nice. Or they should have just stuck with the older art style of the main series, which is the nice dark and gritty art style, because that really fits what they're doing with Shattered Grid here. So I guess I'm fine with it, but for Shattered Grid, which is probably one of the biggest things that happened in Power Rangers history, I think they should have gone with a better art style. But anyway, we basically see that Jason, Red Ranger, has said to Grace of Promethea, oh, we're not working with you anymore, like, because you kept these secrets from us, we can't trust you anymore, we're not working with you. So, but she says, oh, okay, but before you leave, there's one thing you should know. Drakkon took something else of his. And then we see Drakkon's like going through tests with Ninjor. Like, basically, I'm kind of confused here. The Rangers say, oh, we can assume Drakkon went back to his home world, but I think this is the main universe Ninjor, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Ninjor was part of the big battle in Drakkon's universe, but I'm pretty sure he would know of the big battle in Drakkon's universe, because we see the Ninja Rangers in that battle, in like the one panel we get of that battle. So I think this is the main universe Ninjor, because in the main universe of this comic book series, we haven't done anything with Ninjor yet. So I think this is main universe Ninjor. But that's not the point I'm trying to make here. I think Ninjor is a great addition no matter what universe this is, because, you know, Ninjor has a lot of connections and he's not used yet. So this is really cool. And we see Drakkon has his broken morpher and he wants Ninjor to fix it. So basically now we cut to Tommy we have one moment in the command center, but it doesn't really do much. Basically, Tommy and Kimberly then go out on a date. They go to see a movie, which is fine and all, but like, this is supposed to be where Rangers clash with, or not clash, but Rangers from different times and dimensions meet Rangers from other times and dimensions. So this is supposed to be like kind of a big thing here, and they're going out on a date. So I'm kind of mixed on that. And when Kimberly goes, oh, I want to kiss him, and she runs away, that's just so strange. I don't know, I don't think that was necessary in this, but I mean, I think it was necessary, I guess, in a way, because then we see, basically, okay, I skipped over one thing with Ninjor. Basically, Ninjor is like repairing Drakkon's power coin in Morpher, and he says like, oh, these two entities, these two power sets were just kind of slammed together, because obviously Drakkon's a combination of Green Ranger power and the White Ranger power. So he was like, oh, this is kind of like just there's sources of power just kind of slammed together, maybe I'll fix them. So I guess Drakkon's gonna be more powerful. He repairs them, Drakkon morphs, which and also a cool thing is he doesn't say like White Dragon Zord or Green White Tiger Zord or something like that. He says Black Dragon, referencing the Black Dragon from earlier. That's really cool. So he goes and he morphs, and then Ninjor is like, oh, you may be a bit weaker, and then Drakkon says, oh, don't worry, I have plans for you. So they kind of hint Ninjor's dead, but Ninjor seems too important for Drakkon to kill. Like, he could use Ninjor to create more morphers and more power coins if he needs to. So I'm sure he's keeping Ninjor alive. And also before Drakkon kidnaps Ninjor, Ninjor also says there are beings who control the Morphin Grid. So I guess that gives Drakkon an idea, like, oh, why don't I get rid of the Morphin Grid? Or something like that. Why don't I take control of these higher beings? So then we see Drakkon steal the green Chaos Crystal from the Ranger's base. So obviously you can just walk in and out of the base whenever he feels like it, which is a bit frightening. And then, anyway, now that I've got that out of the way, we cut back to where Tommy and Kimberly kind of split up. I mean, not split up. They saw the movie, they had their date, and they go their separate ways. And Tommy's walking down an alleyway, and then you hear Tommy, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess Kimberly came back because she said she wanted to be with him. And then the next panel, you see Drakkon literally stab Tommy. basically the flagship of the entire Power Ranger series, was literally stabbed in the back by himself. Wow, they said the stakes were high, and they weren't really lying here. And then Kimberly's like, Tommy, Tommy. She's like yelling. She's like, you can really feel the pain here, which is really, really great, which sounds sadistic, but that's not what I mean. It was just really, really well done. You can feel the pain, and she's like super angry. She's about to like, she lashes out at Drakkon. She immediately morphs. I forgot to mention Drakkon kills Tommy, or he stabs Tommy, because he needs the energy from Tommy to power his green chaos crystal, and I guess he powered it up, so I don't know what he's gonna do with that. I think that's what allows him to switch dimensions, but I think he could have already done that with Saban, so that's not the point here. We see basically Kimberly lashes out at Drakkon, or Drakkon. I've been saying Drakkon, but I think it's pronounced Drakkon, but I'm gonna say Drakkon because I'm too used to that. So we see that Drakkon's like about to kill Kimberly, and then the next second, like, boom, there's a burst of pink energy between them, and from the pink energy is Jen, Time Force Pink, just firing away at Drakkon, like no questions asked. She's like, I'm killing you right here and now. And Drakkon, like, I guess he's caught off guard, or Jen's more powerful than him, so he like backs off. He's like, oh no, I gotta get out of here, and he says home. So I guess he goes back to his home, which I'm assuming leads to our Shattered Grid prelude movie, you know, that thing, or maybe it's before Drakkon stabs Tommy. Like, he sees Tommy like, oh, with you guys, you know, I can do anything, and Drakkon's like, oh, okay, I need to kill this man. So I don't know when that movie takes place, but like still, we see Drakkon leave. Jen like falls on the floor, and Kimberly's crying over Tommy's dead body. And at first, I was thinking like, well, it's Tommy. They're gonna revive him, right? And then not Kimberly. Jen says it's too late. He's gone. And I saw one person say, well, maybe she's referring to Wes being gone, because like, assuming basically Jen takes off in her jetpack, she sees Wes's Megazord explode or disappear, assume he's dead, and then she time jumps to this time, shoots Drakkon, and then at that moment it hits her that Wes, her boyfriend, is dead again. And then when she says it's too late, he's gone, she's referring to Wes. But it was confirmed by, I think his name is Kyle Higgins, who's like the writer of the whole thing. He confirmed that Tommy is dead. So like, next issue is supposed to focus on his funeral. So they literally killed the flagship of the entire Power Rangers universe. Wow. So like, that completely changes the event, or not completely maybe, but it does pretty change the events of Zeo and Turbo, and it almost negates Dino Thunder as well, because Dino Thunder was made because of Tommy, and maybe a few other things, but I can't think of everything off the top of my head. But like, wow, like, talk about. So they leave on such a good, not a good note, they leave on such a like threatening note of Shattered Grid. Like, they show Lord Drakkon is not backing down. He's willing to do what needs to be done, such as stab himself technically in the back. So first issue of Shattered Grid maybe had a few rough spots here, but like, come on, this thing was awesome, and I'm so looking forward to what's to come in Go-Go Power Rangers and the main series for Shattered Grid. Okay, so now we move on to the Japanese stuff. So we start off with a completely different intro for Build. Like, the music they're playing, I think, Ode to Joy by some, I think it's like Beethoven or Mozart, one of those old classical composers, and they're playing that throughout the whole time. Stalk is inserting full bottles into Pandora's panel and inserting them into the Pandora's box right away. Like, no jokes, he's just, no questions asked, he's like, alright, boom. Alright, boom, he's just inserting. He actually only inserted 2 panels, but like, no questions asked. He's getting down and dirty. And like, the Rider, and we see Sato's attacking Sato's attacking Toto again. Like, it's all out chaos right now. And we just have the symphony going on in the background, and everything else is kind of muted. And we see the Riders, they show up, and they just don't ask any questions. Like, no questions asked, they morph, they henshin right away. They start fighting the hard Guardians. Like, it's crazy. we see the walls lower, we create a giant circle, and when Stalk appears later and inserts another panel, it creates another layer to the circle. And basically this is the Pandora's Tower. So the skywall is removed and creates the Pandora's Tower. So it can be assumed, I guess, that the skywall, the parts of the skywall, are being used to create Pandora's Tower. So when Pandora's Tower is completed, we will have no skywall, which is interesting. But basically, I mean, that's pretty much all that happens in the first part. But like the impact of that, like we basically, you see all the destruction just of making this lower section of the wall and removing, or the lower section of the tower and removing the parts of the wall, and it's just crazy, and you really feel the weight of it. And also, they changed the intro. I mean, it's still the same song for the most part. It's still the same. They changed some visuals here and there. Like now we have Grease in the cafe. We have Rogue as like his Sato wanderer self. And in the beginning, normally it says, "Oh, 10 years after the Skywall tragedy, we have this." I don't specifically remember what it is, but now it basically says 10 years after the tragedy of the Skywall. Now we have a fight over the Pandora's box. So I guess now we're entering an arc where we're fighting over Pandora's box. So I'm pretty interested into knowing what is Pandora's Tower, what it's gonna do. Stalk said that it's going to destroy the Earth, but that's a giant tower. So how do you destroy the Earth with a giant tower? So I'm still interested to see, well, what this is gonna do. So Stalk says to Namba / the Prime Minister of Sato, because he's still under disguise, he says, or no, I gloss over the fact that the Prime Minister's in the car / Namba. I'm just gonna call him Namba. Namba's in the car, and he's talking to the Prime Minister Toto, and he basically says like, "Oh, we're not declaring war on you, or no, we are declaring war on you because no one saw the results of the representative match." And basically, they twisted the results. Basically, since they never broadcasted the representative battle, they basically lied to everyone. In the media, it says that Sato won, Toto lost, and Toto's not surrendering, so Sato felt the need to declare war and take over Toto by force. But the thing is, Toto won fair and square. As the viewers saw it, everyone else in the battles saw it. Sato lost, Toto should be free, there should be no war. But since Sato's under the control of Namba, who has some greater goal, they're not going to abide by the rules. So then we see in the Prime Minister's office, Stalk changes Namba back for a second, and he says, "Oh, we have 27 bottles." So he inserts one panel into the Pandora's box, so that's 10 bottles. We see later he quickly inserts another panel, so that's 20 bottles. And then I guess they have 7 Sato bottles. They have 7 other bottles that they haven't inserted into. They probably have it in a panel, but they don't have enough to complete the panel. So I guess this is the end goal of getting all the bottles, inserting them into the panels, inserting them into the tower, or into the box to create the tower. So I don't know how this will open Pandora's box, how the tower is going to destroy the world or something. So then we get some nice moments between Ryuga and Misora and Grease and Build, where they're kind of wondering, like, what do we do? Like, do we invade? Because they're not abiding by the rules. They shouldn't have attacked us. So should we invade? And Build's like, well, Sento says, like, we can't really invade. We need to abide by our rules, stuff like that. Grease is like, well, my friends are in Hokuto still, and, they're not getting any better, so I'm gonna go save them myself. And he leaves. Ryuga goes after him. They say, we can't save those close to us. We have to save everyone. And then later we see Sento go to the Prime Minister of Toto. I think his name's like, no, I don't know. It's something like Heisman, guys. Whatever. So he goes to the Prime Minister, and he asks, or he says, we need to change our tactics. And he asks for a dollar, which is the currency in this world, which isn't the problem here. Why did he ask for a dollar? He didn't do anything with it in this episode. Maybe he bought all those tickets for Misora, but like, I mean, they're probably gonna explain it next episode. I hope they explain it next episode, because that was just a really weird thing. He's like, "Oh, can I have a dollar?" "Oh, thank you," and he leaves, and it doesn't do anything. So then we see later Grease is at the border, because now the skywall is pretty much like opened. You can go free through it, and he's about to go through it And we see Banjo, Ryuga, has just been sitting there, and he's like, have you been there all morning? He's like, yes, it's very, very cold. So he's been there all morning, he's freezing, and it's so funny. And basically they just have a nice talk, like, oh, well, we can't really invade because, you know, we can't, like, or I actually forget kind of what they say. I think he says, like, we can't invade, or I will invade with you, something like that. And then we see that Misora is going to appeal to Grease's Miton side, because she does a quick broadcast on the Miton vlog, whatever you call that. And he says, like, you know, she goes like, hi, it's Miton. And then she says, like, please value your own life, because she knows Grease is pretty much risking his life when he goes to Hokuto to save his friends. And then later we see and then also Grease is like hitting Ryuga with his bag. He's like, psh, psh, for some odd reason too. There's just kind of some odd things in this episode. And then Stalk shows up with Hard Guardians and the Kaiser brothers, and the Riders don't have any choice. They have to fight them. So we get an awesome dual Jelly henshin, because the Jelly Riders, like, their transformations for the most part are identical. There's just the little middle part between like Robot and Grease or Dragon and Cross Charge. That's the only difference. Other than that, it's like identical transformations. So it's really cool to have them transform side by side. We get a really cool fight scene between the two of them. And then we see Misora has a bag full of tickets to persuade Grease. Like, oh, okay, a ticket for shaking my hand, a ticket for hugging me, you know, stuff like that. It's so funny. And then Sento arrives, and basically he says, oh yes, we have to change tactics. We can't keep like defending this whole time. We have to go on the offensive. And then he transforms into Rabbit, and this is where I'm gonna complain about the full henshins now, because I like the sounds, I like the form, I love the forms, but the transformations are starting to kind of get annoying, because he'll transform and the Robo Bunny will appear. It'll split into the armor. Build is in hazard form, and he has to like fly through and attach to all the armor before he can land and attack. Like, can we just please have the armor just split up and land on him for now, because we had our big debut transformation. Can we just please have quick and easy transformations now, please? It's starting to kind of get annoying. So that's just a small complaint. Basically, Sento says, like, there are other ways to win than go full invasion. And he basically gives a speech to Grease. He says, like, your friends are still here, referring to the Hard Smash trio. And then Grease is like, well, I'm not going to listen to your love and peace things, but I'll go if Miton says so. And he goes, and then he starts fighting alongside Build and Cross. So, in 3 rider fight. And then we get an awesome scene where Build has the Gatling full bottle, and he like underhand or backhand throws it, and it lands right in Grease's Twin Breaker, and he uses it to attack. And that was such a coolly shot scene. It was really awesome. And then he also uses, they're fighting off Stalk. I think, yeah, they use this on Stalk. Build uses, I think, the full match break, which didn't really do anything special for Rabbit. But Grease uses the 3 Faust bottles. He uses Castle, Kuwagata, and Gabu. He uses his friend's Faust bottles, which is Castle, Owl, and like Beetle. I don't know their Japanese names. So it was really cool to see, he got some kind of special attack with them, or it was kind of symbolic. He's using his 3 friends' bottles to like let them go, I think is what they were symbolizing when we see Grease and Kazumine push them away. I don't really know what that was symbolizing, but it was still really cool. And then we see the reveal that, the Engine Bro, who gave his bottle away to the Remote Con Bro so he could go into Hell Bros. We see that the Engine Bro, when he was knocked out, he got Misora, and he's using her as a bargain. He's like, oh, don't do anything or else, I'll kill her. And then Misora's eyes open, revealing she's in her possessed state. And then you see Stocky's just kind of like, la la la, and he goes like, oh no. And like his head turns really quickly. He's like, I gotta get out. Like, he seems scared. And then Misora opens her eyes, and she's like glowing, which I don't think we saw last time she was possessed. She knocks away Engine Bro, and then she says, we are Vernage, the Queen of Mars. And then we end the episode. When I said, Toei, please don't end the episode with Vernage as a cliffhanger, because I don't want it to be a cliffhanger. Guess what? They ended it on a cliffhanger. So please, 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 stop revealing your cliffhangers in the previews. Why? Because, I mean, then you're expecting, oh yeah, we're going to talk about this in the episode, and it's the cliffhanger, so you know the cliffhanger of the episode before the episode begins. Anyway. And then, again, we end the episode there. So that makes me wonder, why did she say we? I mean, I guess it's because Vernage is possessing Misora. And I know last time I said it's Vernage. It's actually Vernage. She says, like, au revoir, Vernage. So it's Vernage. It's pronounced in, like, an English-y way. So that's where we end the episode. I'm going to talk about spoilers for preview. If you don't want preview spoilers, you know, get out of here. So we don't see that much happens in this preview. We do see that Stalk is knocked out of his suit, and we see a quick shot of like the inside of Pandora's Tower, and we see Rogue is with Sato. So Rogue wasn't in this episode at all. I guess he was taking a rest, but we see he's going to be aligned with Sato still in the next episode. And then we're going after Pandora's box, and we get Cross Z. Yay! Cross Z returns. No more Cross Z charge. Cross Z, yes. So Cross Z returns, and then we see I think it's Misora or Vernage, the Misora's actress. She says that Ryuga is the hope. So I don't know what that means, and it has to do with something that he's getting the magma knuckle in the next week. We see him like punch the engine bro like really high. And we also see it in the preview that he has the magma knuckle for the magma form. So I think I'm like 90% sure this is going to be a cliffhanger henshin, that he's going to use the knuckle in the build driver, and he's going to transform and become magma cross, or cross magma, my bad. And then we're going to end the episode on a cliffhanger with that form, kind of like we did with Hazard. So, I mean, again, I hope we don't do that because I want the full debut, but because I'm very excited for this form. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't really care as long as we get the form, right? And then another 10% of me is thinking they just won't have the debut next week, and the full debut will be the week after next week. So, I don't know. It could go either way. I'm very sure it's going to be cliffhanger henshin, though, because he has the knuckle next week, and he's going to be in Cross Z, not Cross Z charge. So, probably he, like, loses his jelly, and then he gets the magma knuckle, and then he realizes in the end of the episode he can use it to transform, and he transforms, and then we end the episode. So that's just me spouting nonsense, or as I like to call it, Jujube. So that's about it for Build's episode was really good this week. So let's get into Lupin vs. Pato. So Lupin vs. Pato this week was also really good. As you knew from last week, this week's was gonna focus on Tsukasa realizing that the cafe owners of Juror are Lupin Rangers. She was starting to think they are the Lupin Rangers because they don't know who the Lupin Rangers are yet. So this episode obviously focused on that theory. So we jump right into the action with the Lupin Rangers morphing. They start fighting off the Portermen. There's actually no Gangler or Monster of the Week, which is great because it lets us focus on the, detective work of if the Lupins are, or if the cafe owners are the Lupins. So we see like Sakuya throughout the whole episode is trying to defend Umika, which is really funny. We see the Pato Rangers are actually working as detectives. So we see like Lupin Red leaves the cafe to go look for the Gangler hideout. We see that Tsukasa and Sakuya are looking into the cafe to see like if there's any suspicious activity. And then we actually see that Goody helped out. Like, basically, Lupin Red, Kairi was looking for the base of the Ganglers, or this hideout of the Ganglers, I might say. And, I forget his name. Pattern Ichigo, I'm just gonna say, I forget his name. He's behind him, or Keitro. Keitro's, like, in the back, and he's watching him. And then Goody's like in Kairi's shirt for some reason. It's like, watch out! It's the Pato Rangers. They're trying to discover if you're the Lupin Rangers. And it's like, oh really? And he kind of like stops and he kind of like leaves and goes back to the cafe. And then we also get a scene where then after that we get a scene where the Lupin Rangers are talking to Good Striker, and we actually give the mech the talking robot that should have like done nothing except transform and then become the final attack and the final, or the mecha. We actually give this thing some form of development. This series is perfection. We give it development. There's some kind of development. Like, they're talking to him and they're like, why don't you help us out? And he's like, oh, well, it's because, like, we're having a conversation with this thing and we're trying to give it some form of development, and I think we kind of succeed here. So, like, what more could you ask for? We've given every character some form of development, and we developed the mecha. What more could you ask for from this series? They're talking to the Goody, and they say, oh, we need to collect all of the collection, or Goody asks why they're thieves. Then they say, oh, we need to collect all of the collection so we can revive our dead loved ones. That's what Kogure said, the butler. And Goody says, oh, sounds like something he'd say. So, like, Kogure might be lying to them. Maybe they're collecting the Lupin collection. They give Kogure some, like, ultimate power, and he won't revive. He probably can't revive their loved ones. He's doing it for some greater purpose, which, I mean, makes me more suspicious of him. Goody even said, like, oh, sounds like something he'd say. Which, like, Goody obviously knows more than he's letting on. But, come on, we gave him development. Anyway, normally we see the Lupin Rangers using the Powder Rangers to their advantage, right? This time, we see the Powder Rangers using the Lupin Rangers to their advantage, which is great. So we see that Sakuya texts Umika, oh, are you working tomorrow? And she says, no, I'm going to be at the cafe all day. And then the Powder Rangers are like, Sakuya, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm texting Umika. And they're like, we're in the middle of a case here trying to discover our enemies' identities. What are you doing? He's like, no, I'm checking if he's like, no, I'm actually doing work. I'm not flirting like I usually do, which is great. So they're actually using their relationships with what they think are the thieves. So then, they know, okay, they're going to be at the cafe all day. So they show up at the cafe. And then, basically, their plan is to disguise Jim the robot, as a gangler. So, like, they put a safe on his head so that the Lupin Rangers can come and attack him. And they'll stage a fake gangler attack. So their idea is that, oh, if these are the Lupin Rangers, then they'll run out to get the gangler. They'll run out of the shop to get the gangler. If they're not the Lupin Rangers, they'll just stay inside and kind of act like, I mean, maybe they'll act a little scared, but they won't act like nothing is going on. So Tsukasa and Sakuya are in the cafe, they're waiting there, and then they're like, alright, Jim's ready. Keitaro is at the site to make sure the Lupin Rangers show up. And then he's basically waiting there, and then once Tsukasa and Sakuya know that he's ready, then they're like, oh, there's a gangler attack, we need to go, and they leave. And then they wait outside to check the door for the Lupin Rangers, or I guess, the Lupin Rangers or the cafe owners to leave, right? So we're waiting there, we're waiting to see what's going to happen, and then we cut to the Lupin Rangers showing up at the attack site, where the gangler is. The gangler, I use air quotes here. So, there's one problem with this. Jim Carter looks nothing like a gangler. The ganglers have, like, creepy designs, they're, like, organic and, like, they're creepy, right? They look like monsters. Jim Carter looks like a robot, and you can tell the safe on his head is just duct taped there. So, first of all, I guess you could say he's there for the sake of the, like, showing that they're not the Lupin Rangers. But, I mean, I guess that's why. But still, like, he looked nothing like a gangler. So, like, the Powder Rangers thought this was gonna work. But I guess it, like, when you think about it, they probably, I mean, you've seen the episode. We know Kyrie's tripleted. He's split in 3. So you probably, like, faked it. Like, oh, yeah, this is a gangler for the sake of showing the Lupin Rangers are there. So, anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling about that. Then I was kind of thinking, like, first of all, I was really confused. I was like, wait, how are the Lupin Rangers? Well, actually, I was thinking that they went through the secret entrance. And that's why we have all 3 Lupin Rangers attacking Jim, or / Gangler, or whatever you want to call him. So I was thinking, like, oh, they went through a secret entrance. You're not going to check the cafe? Like, really? And Tsukasa reads my mind and goes, oh, we should check the cafe. Maybe they went through a secret entrance. And I was like, finally, someone acknowledges the obvious in one of these shows. Like, thank you. They go through the door, and they see, and to my surprise as well, we see that Umika and Toma are just doing their normal thing. They're just cleaning up. And they're like, oh, I thought you went to attack the Gangler. And I was like, yeah, I thought all of you went to attack the Gangler. I'm confused. And then they're like, oh, wait. Well, we need to check Kairi. We need to make sure he's here. He might be a Lupin Ranger. And then Tomo's like, no, you can't go. And then Kairi walks out the door. It's like, oh, what's going on? And I'm just like, what is actually going on right now? Like, I'm so confused, right? And then we see that the Lupin Rangers kind of defeat Jim. They like run after him. And then the Powder Rangers lead. Are like, oh, I guess they're not the thieves. Sakuya's happy. He's like, yes, Umika's innocent. And then we see that Kairi pulls off his face Black Widow style to reveal that he's Kogure in disguise. And then we cut to the Lupin Rangers, where Lupin Yellow and Lupin Blue pull off their masks and their suits to reveal they're Lupin Reds. And Ghost Striker leaves the Verse Changer to reveal they were split in 3 Lupin Reds for the final attack. And then, you know, they join together to create the one Lupin Red. Kairi de-transforms, and I'm like, NANI? I didn't see that coming. It was really great. It was a great twist. They totally kept the Lupin Rangers' identity a secret, hopefully for a little longer now, because I do like the dynamic we have going on. And I'm just like, well, perfect. This is perfect. And Kogure, it kind of shows he's loyal to the Lupin Rangers, but we know he's doing this so the Lupin Rangers don't get caught, so they can keep the Lupin collection for him and for whatever end goal he is. I'm sure Kogure is like trying to get the Lupin collection for like some ultimate power. He's probably like a Gangler in disguise. So Kogure is still mysterious, even though he helped out the Lupin Rangers. But anyway, then we see that Red discovers the base of the Gangler, and he goes the one he was looking for earlier. He goes inside. We have an awesome fight between him and Goshe, like an awesome Red versus minions versus monster fight. We see Pattern Ichigo comes in, saves Jim, who was kidnapped by the Portermen, and he, I guess, saves all the people that were missing, even though we didn't really see any people missing. And then we see that Goshe uses her normal piece of the Lupin collection, the one that doesn't grow monsters, and she says, oh, I can see all of you. And I'm just like, what? Like, she kind of looks at Lupin Red through like an infrared scan, and I'm like, are we trying to see something big here? Because I don't know. Like, this doesn't seem like a big reveal. This just kind of seems like a normal thing, or like infrared. Like, I don't know. It didn't seem like a big reveal. And then, you know, then we have the fight. We grow the monsters. We have a Megazord fight. The Megazord fights are still just kind of okay. I really love the transformations for the Megazords, like the CG parts where a mecha will switch out or the final attack. Those parts I really like, but everything else is just kind of okay. And then we also see some fourth wall breaking where they're talking about the riddle that Jim Carter said earlier, like, oh, to defeat me, you need to solve this riddle. And like, the riddle didn't work for American. It didn't work for me, at least. I'm American, so like, because it was some, you know, Japanese foods, and they have a fourth wall break where Jim's like, oh, I'll tell you the answer after the commercial break, and he looks at the camera. I was like, yes. But I'm kind of going on, but still, this episode was really great. They did what I hoped they wouldn't do, or no, they did what I hoped they would do, where they didn't reveal the Lupin Rangers' identities yet. They solved it in a really, really good way. It was a really great episode, very plot driven, very, very well done. And then the preview for next week doesn't really reveal anything. I'm not even going to talk about it because there's not much in it. So this episode of Lupin Ranger vs. Powder Ranger was really, really awesome, and I'm looking forward to next episode. Now I'm going to talk about some Transformers news that was dropped a while ago. It's not really much, and it's about the IDW comics as well. So basically, if you didn't know, IDW has been making Transformers comics for a long time now, like very long time. They've been doing a great job from what I've heard. I actually don't read their comics, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So they've announced that IDW is going to be rebooting their Transformers comics universe in September, I believe. They're going to be ending it off with whatever all their ongoing comic series are. They're going to be introducing Unicron, and this design of Unicron looks awesome. I guess they haven't introduced him before, even though I thought they did. So this is going to be really cool. I'm looking forward. I'm saying I'm looking forward. I don't read the comics, they've announced that after September, where they end this continuity, soon they're going to be starting another continuity of comics. And personally, I'm happy about that, and I'm looking forward to it. Why? Well, it's because I don't follow the IDW comics, and it's because they're like too complicated for me. I want to read about like the war of Cybertron. Like, I know people are saying, oh, Morning Meets the Eye is really good. The Transformers Robots in Disguise is really good. And I know that's true, but I want to read about like the war between Autobots and Decepticons. That's Transformers for me, and I really want to read about how IDW handled that. Maybe Robots in Disguise handled that. If you read the comics, please let me know down below. But I want to read about like the war between Autobots and Decepticons, and the only way to do that, I think, is to read from the beginning, and that's a lot of comics to read through. So I don't really know what the IDW's continuity is really like messed up, so I don't really know what to do there. So the fact that they're rebooting it makes me very happy, because that means I can just follow the series from the beginning, and I don't have to worry about this continuity mess, since I'll be following it from the beginning. So the reboot personally for me makes me very happy, because I didn't follow the comics before, and it allows me to follow the comics in a better manner. That's pretty much it for Transformers. It really wasn't much, but it was still pretty cool. So another great week for pretty much everything. Good news for Transformers, awesome issues for Power Rangers, awesome episodes for Lupin Ranger and Build, and I'm very interested in what's to happen. I'm so happy for what's to come, and overall this is just a great week. So also, while I'm here, I saw Pacific Rim Uprising, and I mean, I liked it. I personally really enjoyed the first movie, and I personally really enjoyed the second movie, and they did show at the end that there's going to be a third movie. That, I mean, that's what's implied. Hopefully they're making it, because I'm actually really interested to see what they would do with this third movie, since I mean, it's implied they're going to be going to another dimension, so that's a lot of CG. But then again, this movie had a lot of CG, but I mean, I like the movie. There are some rough spots here and there. I really like the designs, I really like the plot. I kind of like. There were some things I wish they did better, like when the kaiju Jaeger hybrids appeared and they opened a bunch of breaches. I kind of wish they just opened one breach, the original breach. I kind of hoping they opened that up, and we have a bunch of monsters coming out that we have to fight off. And I kind of wish we didn't introduce Mount Fiji as like a plot MacGuffin, because like, you're telling me 10 years since we've had the kaiju invasion, all these years we had the kaiju invading before that, you're telling me no one thought, hey, let me cross the pass of these kaiju. Oh look, Mount Fiji, and then fortify Mount Fiji. You're telling me no one thought of doing that until now? Someone just offhandedly said, oh, just check their pass, and find out they're all going to Mount Fiji. Like, really, that's just personally really dumb. But I mean, I really liked the rest of the movie, and I thought it was an okay sequel to the awesome Pacific Rim, but I think it got its job done, and I'm looking forward to what's to come for Pacific Rim. So anyway, now that we've got that out of the way, this was an awesome week, and I'm looking forward to what's to come. So if you like this video, please hit that big red subscribe button for more videos like this, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.